So, fresh in my mind, I just finished finally watching Girl Meets World, which is the spinoff of the classic series, or the classic 90s series to us older guys, Boy Meets World. And I actually saw the first episode a couple days previous, and I didn't really get to watch it because I was distracted by children, and I was at someone else's house, but I was kind of like, okay, that's one of the main reasons why I couldn't really get into it. And I was like, okay, I saw Corey and Topanga, which is the main reason why everybody's trying to turn to see what they look like now and what they're going to act like. And then to see, how it's going to be. Now, we are in circa 2014 now. So that means Boy Meets World, that show was created back in the late 90s, early 2000s. Excuse me. You can't really bring that thing back, That's how that is. And so they have to make it for this generation, something that this generation is going to watch, because let's face it, Disney is all about what's marketable. Because they have to stay in business somehow. They can't stay in business making things that aren't marketable. And so I feel like you basically have two things going on. You have, the typical Disney format, which is based off of what happened or what other successes such as Hannah Montana and That's the Raven and stuff like that. And then you kind of have to bring in a little bit of that old school, which is where you got Michael Jacobs, the guy that created the Boy Meets World in the first place. And so you have to kind of bring those two worlds together and make it work for now. And so actually after sitting down and watching both episodes, the first episode where Riley, who is Corey and Topanga's daughter, has to kind of understand how important it is to see things from her point of view and not try to be anyone else, even though someone else's life or world might seem cooler. And then you have second episode where Riley kind of starts to see that she kind of likes this one guy who was introduced in the first episode, and someone else is paying attention to him. She has to kind of deal with that, and her kind of realizing that there's no need for her to rush to grow up either, to try to learn how to flirt or anything like that, just kind of little typical kid stuff that 13 and 14-year-olds probably should be watching. I would feel safe having my kid watch that, And the more I watched, the more I was like, this is a cute little show, I don't think I'm not going to sit up and watch it like every day or anything like that. I don't think it had something I would go. It's not really made for my demographic, but it's cute to see where the characters are now and understand it's going to be about these girls, and that makes sense because that's who's going to be mainly watching it. And so I like the fact that they kind of have a character, all the characters and those things that throw back to the original. Like, for instance, on the first episode, at the very end, you have kind of a brief moment where Mr. Feeney shows up, which is a throwback to us who watched the original. You got Corey and Topanga together, so obviously they're still together now, and living in the city, as what we kind of would think so, because I remember at the end of the original series, they go off to the big city, I believe New York, to live or whatever, and then you have the daughter, Riley, and then her best friend, Maya, which basically is Corey and Sean in this day and age as females. And then you have this character called Farkle, which is basically their version of Minkus, which was from the first couple seasons of Boy Meets World originally. And I feel like a lot of it is set up like the classroom is set up like Boy Meets World, the first couple of seasons, when it was just him, and it was like more little kiddie versus the later on Boy Meets World when they actually kind of started growing up, going to high school and eventually college. And so I think I would give the series out of 5 stars. I give it probably 3.5, 4. I mean, obviously it's going to have some place to grow. There's a few like little soft moments. I feel like there were some moments where it actually was kind of rushed, and we kind of want the moments to last longer. Mainly the ones with Corey and Topanga. But you get what you can get. And so I hope the series actually does well, because I loved the original show, and I think it'd be kind of cool to kind of have the show continue on in this variation for the newer generation. And it kind of makes you realize, like, man, I'm like 29 now. And so when I was watching this, back when I was 14 and 15 or whatever, it just was a different world, and like that was like the coolest thing. I remember looking forward to every Friday night saying, hey, I'm gonna watch Boy Meets World, cause that's gonna be my thing with part of TGI Fridays, on ABC, and it was just my thing. And so It's cool to see. I probably would watch one more episode if I just happen to run across it, or if I'm at someone else's house. Obviously, I don't watch it if I'm not going to be heavily distracted. I do recommend if you're going to watch it, you really can't drift in and out of it. I mean, you could, but if you really want to get the story, it's important you need to kind of watch because it goes at a fast pace, and so you need to kind of like watch the whole thing all the way through without any distractions. So this is me, Marvin Lee. Go Mix World. I'll go with the okay for now, and we'll see how long it lasts on TV. This is me, Marvin Lee.